Yesterday I went out and saw X-Men Days of Future Past. I went there with my dad, and we were the only freaking two people in the entire theater, and I thought, oh my god, this is freaking awesome. But then, as the commercials ended, like 5 people walked in, and I was just watching them like, oh, you son of a bitches. But on to the movie. So, I love X-Men. X-Men, the X-Men is my favorite, personally. I was very young when I first saw the movies. I loved the movies. I even liked the third movie before I get into comics a bit more, and then I realized just what a freaking travesty that movie was. And then X-Men Origins happened, which, I mean, it was just so bad. Then First Class, which was actually good. It was actually really good. That made me excited for, the reboot. We were supposed to have a reboot of the X-Men universe, and the First Class was supposed to be that, and I was excited. Then we got the Wolverine, which was also pretty good. And now we have this one, and oh my god, I love it. By the way, this is going to be spoiler, pretty spoilerish. Spoiler warning. Okay, so it starts with Professor X, his narration, and it's just, you see New York, you see all the destruction and everything, and it's so freaking cool. And then you see, I think it's Rogue with a hood on, because you see white hair and then dark brown hair, when she just, she goes and she dusts something, and then the X-Man, like a belt of the X-Man is there with the X-Man symbol. And then the camera just pans down right into the belt, the X-Man symbol, and the classical music begins, and it's just so epic. And then, that made me so excited, so happy. So already from the very beginning I was pretty excited. Then we'll get to see some awesome fight scenes in the future. Blink's power was so cool. She did, portal there, and then you can see inside the portals and stuff. Every action scene just looks so good. Everything is just so visually stunning. The story itself evolves around Wolverine has to go back in time to get Magneto and Xavier to work together to stop Mystique from killing Bolivar Trask. That is what sets, everything with the Sentinels on when she kills Trask. So he goes back in time to the 70s, where the First Class actors are. I really, really like this. I loved how it blended, the original X-Men cast, most of the original X-Men cast with the First Class cast. James McAvoy's Xavier is just so good. Such a good actor. And that goes for Michael Fassbender as well as Magneto. So good. I feel like there's some kind of trio. There's always been Magneto and Xavier, but now there's Magneto, Xavier, and Mystique. So there's like a third party now. And I love Jennifer Lawrence. You can't hate Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence is just a fantastic woman, and her Mystique is so awesome. Beast didn't get really much to do in this movie. He was just there to explain that, oh yeah, I made this thing for Xavier so he can walk, but his powers doesn't work somehow. That's odd. So he didn't really get much to do, but I thought he did well with, the script that he got. I just have to talk about Quicksilver. Even I hated. I still hate how Quicksilver looks. He still looks pretty stupid. But wow. Every moment up until I saw the movie, I always said, wow, well thank God we're getting Marvel's Quicksilver, because this looks like a piece of shit. And now Marvel, they probably have to step their game up, because even though this Quicksilver, his personality wasn't, Quicksilver from the comics, he was pretty good. I actually really liked Quicksilver in this movie, which a lot of critics, they're just like, he's the best part of the movie. Which I don't think he's the best part of the movie, but I do think that he was pretty freaking awesome. All in all, I really, really liked the movie. I liked every actor. They're all good. I really, really liked the story. I love every actor. The action, as I've already said, was just so good looking. It was just so appealing to my eyes, you know. I really love when Magneto flies down to the football stadium. I love the move that he does when he levitates himself. He's just like, fuck the world, and he just lifts him. I love that, you know, like, woo! It's pretty hilarious. I have to talk about some spoiler stuff as well, especially the ending. And the end credit scene, of course. When Logan wakes up and it's 2023 in the future, I think, and we see the holograms and stuff, which, holograms are in the X-Men comics, so that's cool to see. And he wakes up, you just like, wait, he's at the school, and then you see Bobby with Rogue, which is cool because, they had a thing in the earlier X-Men movies. And then he walks and you see Kitty and Colossus together teaching a class, and that's funny because, Kitty and Colossus were also a thing in the comics. And then you see Storm. This is the bright future, like, oh, we did it, everything ended up well. And then he walks down and he stops, and my heart, when the camera just pans around, and then you see Jean Grey standing there, and I love Jean Grey. I don't really know why. She's not, the best X-Men character, but for some reason, ever since I saw the first X-Men movie, I've always had this passion for Jean Grey, and I hated that they killed her in the X-Men 3. I hated that they killed Scott, because I like Scott as well. I don't like what they did with Scott in the movies. They made him, just such a, hey, don't touch my girlfriend, and they made him such a jerk. But nevertheless, he sees Jean. At this point in the theater, I'm nearly crying, because I'm just like, Jean! Jean is like, oh, hi, Logan. And he's like, Jean? And then he almost touches her hair. And then Scott comes in, takes his arm, and just says, hey, what are you doing? And then you see Scott. And Scott and Jean are both alive. And at this point in the theater, I actually made like a sound. So that was kind of embarrassing, because I just like, oh no. I just made a sound in the theater, which, So you see Jean and Scott together, my babies, and I really was really happy that everything ended well. Then he talks to Xavier, and he's like, oh, I don't really remember anything from the past 50 years. And he's like, oh, what's the last thing you remembered? And then it goes back to the 70s with Stryker picking Logan up, only it isn't Stryker, it's freaking Mystique! What the fuck? Which means that everything that happens in the X-Men movies so far never happened, which is really, really brave for Bryan Singer. Not only did he make the Wolverine that came out like last year, that never happened. X-Men 3 never happened. X-Men Origins Wolverine never happened. X-Men 2 never happened. And X-Men 1 probably never happened, even though Rogue still has white hair, and she got white hair from the thing that Magneto had, the machine that he had in X-Men 1. So still iffy about that, if X-Men 1 did happen, but it couldn't happen if you see how Mystique acts and how she acts in X-Men 1. That never happened. So the only movies that actually happened now is in continuity now is X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past. Those are the only two movies in continuity, and I freaking love it. No movie actually happened now, and we can begin to have X-Men movies with freaking continuity, and that is so exciting, and I freaking love it. And we can have a Deadpool movie now. Deadpool can actually work, because Deadpool didn't even happen. Because who knows if the Weapon X program even happened now with Mystique. Stryker probably didn't happen, which means that X-Men 2 didn't happen. So, it's just, this mind fuck, they can do so many things right now. We can have a Deadpool movie. We can have a good Deadpool movie. Channing Tatum, he can be Gambit now. God damn it. But yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And then quick with the end credit scene. Yeah, freaking Apocalypse, a young Apocalypse. It seems he's standing there. You know, millions of people are, like blah, blah, blah. Didn't really catch what they were saying. He builds a pyramid in like 5 seconds, and then the camera goes to him. You see the gray skin, the red eyes. The camera pans up a bit, and you see the freaking four horsemen, and then it ends. And that's pretty awesome. It's gonna be so cool. The X-Men Apocalypse, it takes place in the 80s. So that's cool. I love the X-Men movies because they were the first, superheroes, anything that I ever saw. There were definitely problems with continuity. How the hell is Logan having adamantium claws when he has bone claws and stuff? How does Kitty Pryde have freaking time travel powers? To be honest, I didn't really think about that. That's not true. I did think about that a lot, but whilst watching the movie, I never even gave that a second thought. I was like, okay, she can transport people through time, sure, why not? I just went with it, and I know that the X-Men movies, they're not really like their comic book counterparts, but I watched the movies before I read the comics, so that's not really a problem for me. I mean, I can see why people are mad at that, with the arrows between the comic books, like, oh, they didn't do this, they're not wearing the costumes and stuff, which I completely agree. Just give Logan a fucking helmet already, Jesus Christ. But other than that, I really, really like this movie. It's a good payoff for characters that we're probably never going to see again. I think this is goodbye for the original X-Men cast, and we got a good goodbye. We know that everything ends happy for them in the future, so let's go to the 80s.